Coming up on the maiden voyage of the White Silk Racing podcast, we're going to get into a review of the 2020 pandemic filled NASCAR Cup Series season. We're also going to get into some way too early predictions for 2021. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Right after this little title sequence that I hope works out pretty well. So welcome back. I know it's a quick uniform change. In that title sequence, I didn't have a hat on, but the reason I put this hat on is because I don't know if you've ever had like these studio lights. These things are hot and they make me sweat profusely. But anyway, my name is Philip Spain. I'm not really a NASCAR YouTuber. Normally, I do vlogs and stuff for, everyday product reviews and things like that. But I'm also a NASCAR fan. Some of you may remember when the Kyle Larson thing went down earlier this year. I had a video, and it got pretty good reviews, and people understood where I was coming from with everything. I'll link that in the description if you want to go back and watch it. But that's not why we're here today. Really, I wanted to do this channel to kind of expand on my regular podcast that I do every once in a while. Literally, I can't say I do it weekly, and especially with the season going on, I try to get a few episodes in at least a month. A little harder this year with everything that's been going on, but it is what it is. So we're here today. We're gonna review the 2020 season, which I don't even know how we got through all 36 races. In the two non-points paying events. I mean, it's a testament to NASCAR. Honestly, they made things work that they needed to make work to get through the pandemic. For one, they also did a great job of keeping the fans, I would say, interested. I mean, people get upset about the package and everything. The 550 versus the 700 horsepower, and it literally is what it is. I mean, NASCAR is not just going to say, oh, well, we're going to go back to the 900 package as much as everyone wants to. And I understand where people are coming from. We're used to, or especially when I was growing up, just having these 900 horsepower cars, the loud noise, the way you could hear the engines. And it's a different day now. The sport is a little bit different. It's not. We're not going to continually be able to keep doing things like that, and especially with how the world around us changes. With more things going electric or hybrid. That's the way of the world now. We're not going to have those 3,400-pound beasts that we had from about 1990 all the way until the early part of the 2010s. So I think NASCAR is going to really try to, they want to keep the fans interested. We understand, with everything going on, we couldn't have fans, and, they drove away a few things. And if you listen to some people say politics played a part in it and everything, that is what it is in that situation as well, too. But, we'll see the sport kind of go with how the world goes. And I think people misunderstand that. And I don't know, maybe one day we'll be able to say and look back on this as it wasn't that bad. And I mean, people gripe with it so much, but the way I've always kind of viewed it with NASCAR, they're not going to make a change to anything just because the fans complain. I mean, they've made rule changes because fans complain, but there's no need to go and really shake up everything that that they've worked so hard to keep up on. So getting back to 2020, our champion this year, Chase Elliott, who really, you can say in a way, was a surprise champion, but not with how his end of the playoffs went. Most of the season was dominated by Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, in a way, Brad Keselowski, but mostly it was the Hamlin and Harvick show. And by the time we got to Phoenix, there was no, there was no Harvick, and Hamlin probably had one of the worst races. And it's not to say that Hamlin isn't a clutch playoff performer. You know, he's sometimes it's I don't want to say that he's cursed because we've seen what's happened at Homestead the past couple of years with him when it comes down to the championship, but that's really on a lack of planning with Joe Gibbs Racing. But that's another story for another day. But the way that 9 team this year came together towards the end of the season, and really the Chevy teams as a whole, and especially Hendrick Motorsports. Hendrick, before the pandemic break, we had Alex Bowman win the race at Auto Club, and he really he won that race going away. And then we had the break, and you can say that maybe Toyota and Ford had more of an opportunity to research, do a little bit more development. You can't test anymore, but you can get simulator time, and I think that was the bright spot of having the iRacing Invitational thing that they were doing, which had its own issues at the same time, but it kept the drivers somewhat motivated to do it. We had a lot of guys that didn't participate, and it's understood because a lot of guys don't really do sim racing as much as some of the younger drivers do. So it's understood, but when we got back, Harvick wins the first race out, and then just pretty much goes on a tear through the early months of summer. But as the playoffs got here and there, he won the race at Darlington. I'm kind of blanking on who won races in between that, but I'll put something right here to let you know who won that. It'll probably just go up and down the screen. But honestly, somehow around there, the SHR car, Stewart House Racing, they didn't perform up to standard when they got into the playoffs. Harv won a race, and he had locked himself in, and he really had enough points where he should have been able to kind of just build on trying to get himself locked into the championship 4 race. But what the issue was, you had bad races where you missed the setup. He had a race at Texas where he scrubbed the wall early and day 1 of 10,000 of that race. But it was a miserable end of that. And then you get to Martinsville. Really wasn't a do or die situation as far as go out and win the race. All he had to do was finish ahead of who he needed to finish ahead of, and there were issues there. And then of course the wreck with Kyle Busch. And meanwhile you see Chase Elliott winning these races as the playoffs got closer. The Roval, Martinsville, and then he goes out and kind of walks off with it at Phoenix. And I mean, it wasn't a set in stone thing. There were times in that race where the 11 looked good, the 22 looked good, but really it was just the teamwork of that 9 team between Alan Gustafson, Chase Elliott, and everybody. Even the engineers on there, they brought a new car to the racetrack, or bought a new car, however you want to say it. But they bought a new car for the to the track for the first time in a while. Whereas some people bought a car that might have been something that they used and felt good about, uh, but that didn't work out. You know, you look at Keselowski. Uh, really, he bought the car that he won Richmond with, and you know other races that he had won in. So you know it just shows that you have to be, you know, you kind of have to have tunnel vision. You can't really skimp on weeks, you know, let's say 27 all the way to the end and say, you know, oh, well, I'm going to, you know, I'll show up when it's time for me to show up. No. You know, I really see, and if you look at the finishes, it was consistency that won the championship. You know, it didn't help. I mean, it didn't hurt that Chase won those races, but consistency is what got him into each of those rounds. And honestly, if luck had kind of played a different way a little bit more, you might have actually seen Alex Bowman sneak his way in there. But, you know, we'll talk about Hendrick's, you know, how 2021 is going to look in a little bit. So I said I was going to get into 2021, and we're going to do this incrementally. So it gives me a reason to make other videos in this series. I'm going to start with Hendrick Motorsports. Basically because they're the champions. Well, at least the 9 car is the champion. But the 9, well, okay, Hendrick Motorsports won the Cup Series championship. However, they did not, you know, Chevrolet did not win the manufacturer's championship. That went to Ford. I don't know why my head like spaced like that. I don't get that. But I'm still kind of bullish about Hendrick's chances to repeat. However, I will say we probably will see a little bit more out of Chevrolet as a whole within 2021. You know, the lineup for next year for Hendrick is going to be Kyle Larson, who's going to take over the 5 car. Of course, champion Chase Elliott and the 9. Of course, the 5 is switching from the 88 to the 5. But 5 comes before 88, and yeah, I just like doing things in order. The 24, of course, will be William Byron, and the 48 will be driven by Alex Bowman. Basically, all the crews are staying the same except for the 24 and the 5. Cliff Daniels, who was Jimmy Johnson's crew chief for a little bit last season in 2019, he is going to work with Kyle on the 5 team. Rudy Fugle is coming over from Kyle Busch Motorsports to be with William Byron. Now, he and William go back from the Truck Series when Will did drive for Kyle. So it's going to be good to see how that worked out. You know, he did win his first race last year with Chad Knaus on the box. Chad's retiring. Well, he's not retiring, but I guess he's off the box. He's going to be taking a kind of a, I guess I don't want to say it's behind the scenes, but you know, he's described it as something that he's ready to do. You know, if you listen to the Dale Jr. download, he was on there a few weeks ago, and Chad sounds as at peace as I have ever heard him before. Chad sounds like the guy that I thought he was before I kind of realized that he was a hard ass a bit when Jimmy was going on his run. You know, Greg Ives and Alex Bowman. Right now, Gregory and Alexander are probably one of the better combos in the garage area. Alex has steadily improved ever since he's been given that 88 full-time, well, now to be the 48, with sponsorship from Ally. The biggest question, though, is the 5 team, which is originally the 88, like I explained earlier. But, you know, Kyle Larson coming back after being suspended by NASCAR. uh, after the incident that happened on iRacing. We're not going to get into that because that's been discussed before. But it's going to be good to see, or interesting to see, how Kyle is going to go about 2021. Because, I think there are a lot of, how can I put it? There are a lot of people that expect him to take over the five car and go win, 5 and 6 races. Whereas he's been out of a NASCAR race car for about, almost 8 months now. He's done some dirt racing and, done some late model racing as well, too. But it's, it's not driving a stock car. I mean, granted, he can get back in the seat tomorrow and be able to, you know, fit right back in. But where the issue stems is I don't exactly know how the process is going to work. He's technically not reinstated by NASCAR until January 1st of next year. But I don't know if he's allowed to attend, virtual meetings or meetings in person, or if he can, get notes or, data and all of that information from Hendrick because of the suspension. And really, the off season is that time in normal circumstances. You would kind of say that that's that time where teams build rapport or try to figure out how they're going to go about the upcoming season. And 3 or 4 weeks after you get from once he gets off of suspension, how does Kyle get right back into the seat at Daytona? Now, granted, you have speed weeks. He's gonna have practice sessions and all of that, but and maybe I'm looking at it wrong because we look at NASCAR now where everything is so much sim based anyway. Maybe he can get behind the wheel of some sort of sim program. I don't know if his ban with iRacing is still going to be in play, if that's an indefinite thing, or if if they're going to allow him back there. But there's also other sim programs that they can use to simulate, being on there or, a situation like that. But it's going to be interesting to see how Kyle adjusts. I mean, he's not a rookie, so he knows what a season, it entails. But this is a little bit different from driving at Chip Ganassi. And, Ganassi got engines from Hendrick, so it's not like there wasn't some form of a technical alliance between the two. But this is his first opportunity to get behind the wheel of a Hendrick car, where a lot of people thought he should have ended up in the first place when he was somewhat of a rookie and a prospect. But Hendrick signed Chase Elliott, and that leads into where this Chase, where can he go from here? The target is on his back now. He and Allen. I don't, I don't really ever believe, and especially with the playoffs, I don't believe in too many back-to-back championships anymore. I feel like they've done what they've done with the 8-4, and the way that they've set it up is to make sure that it's a little bit more exciting. Whereas last year's champion could miss out on championship 4. And I don't know. It's gonna be. The eyes are gonna be on him, and Chase is a cool demeanor guy, so it's not gonna be any skin off of his back. But I can't put a cap on where the wins are gonna come, and we know where he's pretty much good everywhere we go. He's shown that. But repeating is going to be hard. Jimmy Johnson did it, but playoffs were a little bit different then. and but I'm excited now, and this isn't really kind of a NASCAR thing, but I'm excited to see what Jimmy does in IndyCar on the road courses, the schedule that he has with Ganassi. Uh, and Tony Kanan's going to ride the oval tracks. So, but I'm excited. Jimmy's happy. Jimmy has made peace with NASCAR. I think he could be happy never getting in another race car again. I know Dale Jr. is really trying his hardest to get him into a Xfinity car at some point in time, but I would let Jimmy just relax and understand, and relax and do this. And then when Jimmy's ready, if he wants to, he can, or he can enjoy his wife and two daughters and watch them grow up. But that's Hendrick Motorsports as a whole. I guess to put it in there, it'd be nice to see all four teams make the playoffs, but undoubtedly, I think somebody's going to float around that area where, um, it'll be, they need a win to get in, and, they'll fall just short, or they'll be able to point their way in, but, you're going to have consistency to go ahead and get into the championship. But next time out, we're going to discuss basically the runner up to that, the runners up, basically, the top four. We'll talk about Penske. We'll talk about Joe Gibbs Racing. But it's going to be an exciting 2021 season, and we'll see where we go from there. All right, so before I go, I want to do some quick hits. Just little small things. We'll probably do these once a month, maybe. But I'm excited for 2021 for a myriad of reasons. Ready to see what 2311 Racing has. It's Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan's race team with Bubba Wallace behind the wheel. This is Bubba's chance. If you know me, I'm a Bubba Wallace fan. So I'm excited to see what he can do. We haven't seen anything as far as how race, how sponsorship is going to work, but, we've seen, stuff like Root Insurance, DoorDash, McDonald's, all these different types of sponsors that Bubba acquired within the last maybe 6 to 10 months. So I'm excited to see what they can do out the box. I'm not going to go and say that they're going to win a race, but I know they're going to be competitive. I think he'll be in the mix for maybe at like Daytona or Talladega. I don't expect them to struggle, but I do expect them to do, have growing pains. We've heard that there may be multiple cars coming, which wouldn't surprise me, but I couldn't see that for maybe until 2023, especially with how, with how NASCAR is going to do the business model with the next gen car. And speaking of the next gen car, I'm excited about that too. We've seen the test session they did at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where they did it on the Roval, and then they also tested on the oval itself with Kurt Busch and Martin Truex Jr. They even let them go out for a run with two cars on the track. That's the first time that they've been able to do that. And that was exciting to see. And then we've had onboards of, I think it was Kurt's onboard showing, the ins and outs of the car a little bit. He explained how the car felt to him. Martin Truex Jr.'s explanation of how the next gen car has felt when he talked to Ryan Truex was that it felt like a race car, which kind of funny because you can take that one or two ways. It feels like maybe what a race car used to feel like, or it just feels like a race car. But they're gonna come down and find out which one's gonna be the better, the better car, because there are two people in the process of making the race cars. I think there was Action Express, and I can't think of the other team now. This is bad of me for making a YouTube video and not having my research sources, but uh, there was also a little bit of an Easter egg. If you follow Chad Knaus on Twitter, he put up a tweet basically saying, he's doing some paperwork, but he's doing it with a beachfront view. And somebody zoomed in on the paperwork on there, and it looks like there's going to be a collapsible steering wheel on these race cars. So it's exciting to see. This is going to be the first kind of brand new race car for NASCAR since I want to say the car tomorrow. With the big wing that made it look like a transformer, but it's gonna be a fun year. I think a lot of people will be happy because we don't have to deal with that splitter anymore. I haven't heard many people complain about that in a while, but it is what it is in NASCAR, and we complain a lot, but we still watch it. We can't quit for some reason. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I can't promise you that I'm always going to make a video, but if something, comes across my head about the sport, I'll make a video. Or if something big happens, or, if you want a race review, or even if you want to see me review some old races, like anything from the 90s on forward. And, we can even go back to the 80s as well, too. But just let me know in the comments what you want to see. You can reach out to me on Twitter at Phil in Espanol. That's PhilenEspanol. That is a mouthful, but it'll also be right here. But anyway, and it'll also be in the comments. But anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking time out of your evening. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. And hopefully I'll get back with you soon. Also, my shirt today. This came from the Davey Allison store. DaveyAllisonStore.com. Basically run by his wife, Liz. She's bringing back these old school designs. And one thing I want to really say before I go is that Davey was one of my favorites. Or, I'm 30. So when Davey passed, I was only 3 years old. And it was unfortunate because as I grew up and got into NASCAR, I started, reading about and watching old races and seeing Davey. And then I would say, well, why isn't Davey still racing today? And I never knew that, until probably I was about 9 or 10 years old, that Davey had passed away in a helicopter accident. But thanks to the Davey Allison store for this one. I want to thank my friend Nick Meyer at Nick Meyer Realtor, I think. Yeah, I think it's on Twitter. He surprised me by buying this and sending it to me because I said online that this was something that I would like, and I love it. This is going to be one of my new favorite shirts, and yeah. But anyway, go to DaveyAllisonStore.com. Go check out the holiday collection. Go check out what she's bringing out, because she's bringing back some stuff. And she also has some good memorabilia if you're into collecting that stuff too. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side. This has been the White Silk Racing Podcast. I'm Phil, and yeah, we'll see you again next time. Bye, Phil.